wabarakatuh, and good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's our pleasure to welcome everyone tonight in our webinar session that is Say Goodbye to Oil Palm Waste, brought to you by Medical Team. So, first of all, today for tonight, I will be your Medical Team moderator, which is my name is Neza Jalaluddin, followed by my fellow teammates, which are Ong Hui Ling, Fires, Matesh Rao, Keshudran, Robaraj, Jushan, Hamza, and Aina. So let's move on to our next session for tonight. So moving on to next slide, which we were our first presenter would be Matesh Rao Analaki Gurarayu, who is our president for Chemical Engineering Student and Society and also agro waste specialist for today's session. So I would like to welcome him to start present our presentation for tonight. Here we go, Matesh.
Okay. Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, Mitesh.
Yeah, all right, okay. Thank you very much for responding. Hi everyone, I'm Matish. Okay, so I'm going to present about agro waste. Actually, our title will be say goodbye to all palm waste, and then why suddenly agro waste? Actually, basically, it's nothing. It's everything in one family. Basically, agro waste is basically a parent. We can say we as a parent, and then all palm waste we can say like its child. Maybe we can classify it. So we have to know about the parent first. Then only we can go for the child, right? So because of that, we are discussing about agro waste first. So what is agro waste? Certain know, certain don't know, right? So we will be like defining it now. So agro waste is actually produced from various agriculture activities. So these agro waste will be including manners, bedding, plant stocks, hulls, leaves, and vegetable matter. In simple word, we can be said that like agro waste is basically produced from the farming activities. There are many type of agro waste. So here we have listed four. So first is hazardous and toxic waste, which is pesticide, insecticides, and herbicides. Actually, these pesticides, why the farmers are using, they just want to save their crops from the like insect and other external factor. Because of that, they're using the pesticide and everything. But it become a hazardous and toxic waste in daily life. And next will be the crop waste. Crop waste is the corn stalks and sugarcane bagasse and prunings and drop and culls from the fruits and vegetables. So a simple example that I can give is if you love to drink the sugarcane drink means like the what if you go to the roadside means if you are they will be selling the sugarcane juice, right? So once they like already extract the juice, what are they doing with that sugarcane, the raw material with that? They just throwing it, right? Actually, it's a crop waste basically. So next will be the food processing waste, which is the can industries, dry food industries. So can industry is something like, for an example, if Malaysian, you know, sardine, right? Okay, sardine. If it will have usually have like a long period of expiry date. But after it's expired, what we are doing, what we can do actually, just throw it away, right? It's becoming a waste basically. In the restaurants, the leftover food, we are just like throwing away, right? It's becoming a waste as well. So next, the final one is will be the animal waste, which is the manure animal and animal carcasses. So these are the overview of the agro waste. We already know what is agro waste and the type of agro waste. So next, what we have to know about the agro waste. Next slide. All right, so here we go. So next we have to know that in farming situation, why the agro waste is often useless and will be discarded. What they mean here by is why, like for example, like for paper, bottles and everything, we are reusing it, we are recycling it, and then there are some 3R, right? But when it comes to a farming situation, the agro waste, the crops that we doesn't use, why it become useless and be discarded? Because of what the accumulation of agro waste may cause health, safety, environmental, and aesthetic concern. So it represents a problem which require a safe disposal. So why we are telling this? Okay, for example, in house, if we just put a food, okay, we already cook a food and then we just put aside and then we leave it for 1 week, basically. So 1 week means it will start to get a bad smell, right? So indirectly it becoming the pollutant. Actually it polluted by the air, and then it will be affecting the health as well in the house. Okay, many people in the house, right? And then if like expired food, if we eat that, it will be affecting the health, something like diarrhea and everything, right? Because we go to the clinic and then the doctor will be saying that because of food poisoning, because of what we eating the expired food, and then the food is not like cook properly because of that. So these are the things. So for the agriculture waste, they have the specific timeline. So like expiry dates lah. So next, why we have to discard this agro waste is because it contains the insoluble chemical constituents. So for example, like cellulose and lignin, and it also contains the soluble constituents which we can't see, basically like sugar, amino acid, and organic acid. So these other constituents are fats, oil, waxes, and pigments, protein, and mineral. So these are becoming our external factor and internal factor to be the agro waste being the useless and to be discarded. So next slide. Okay, so just now we already know what is the agro waste, what type of agro waste, and why we have to like dispose in a safe way the agro waste. Now we will be focusing into Malaysia. So agro waste in Malaysia, if you guys can see here, in Malaysia 1.2 million tons of agriculture waste is disposed of into landfills annually. Okay, not daily life. Daily means it's a big huge problem, but annually, but it's become a huge problem also because it's 1.2 million tons. You can imagine that how much it is. Okay, so that's the theoretical, that's the literature review that we get from. So next will be, it is estimated 50% of the total waste generated in Asia is agro waste. We have many plenty type of waste in our world actually. So if only agro waste is contributing 15%, it's a very huge contribution to the waste basically. So we have to consider it. So next will be, Malaysia produced at least 168 million tons of biomass, including the timber, oil palm waste, rice husk, coconut trunk fibers, municipal waste, and sugarcane waste annually. As I said before, these are the type of the agro waste basically. So next, Malaysia agro waste at approximately 0.122 kilogram per capita per day. Basically, we able to produce 0.122 kilogram per capita per day, which is the current scenario now. And then it will be targeted to reach 0.210 kilogram per capita per day by 2025, which means that's like double. Yeah, we are doubling, right? So in 2025, we are like producing more. So it means like the 1.2 million tons of agriculture waste, maybe it can become 2.4 million tons of agriculture waste. It's actually a huge, right? Actually, we have to consider, because of this, we come up with say goodbye to oil palm waste. We have to reduce the agro waste. So from this webinar, we are like very thankful, and then we are like very eager to educate you all how we can reduce this agro waste basically. So it might be the 0.122 becomes 0.210 in 2025 by educating you guys, everyone here. So we can able to reduce the 0.210 to become 0.0122 also. It's possible if everyone like apply whatever that solution that we have now. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so this is the proportionate annual production of agriculture waste in Malaysia. Okay, just now we was talking about the agro waste, right? So agro waste and agriculture waste is actually same. So agriculture waste in Malaysia, we're focusing on Malaysia only. So as you can see here, there's like a 54.5%, which is more than half, is contributing by the oil palm. Okay, does anyone know why oil palm contributing a lot of waste, agriculture waste in Malaysia? Does anyone know? Okay.
Because we are the biggest supplier.
Yes, correct. We are the biggest, we are the actually huge producers of oil palm. If whenever you go see to the rural areas, there will be oil palm trees, full of oil palm trees, because we are importing, I mean, not importing, exporting oil palm. So actually we are producers, huge producers. So there's like a logic, right? There's like a part also. As much, okay, how to say that one up? So if we produce a lot, and then the waste also will be a lot, but I don't know the specific term. Later we will Google it. Okay, I'll Google it and I will let you know. Okay, so next, for after the oil palm, then we will go for the wood actually. So following by the rice and rubber and the coconut. So you can see the percentage over here. So more than 50% is contributing is oil palm waste. Because of that, we come up with a title with say goodbye to oil palm waste, where we can reduce this amount of waste in future. in now itself, it's contributing 54.5%, means in future, you can imagine how much we can produce. So we want to reduce everything, and we are here to educate everyone. So that's all from me. Thank you very much. I'll pass it back to Nizam.
Yeah, that's a wonderful, enlightening speech from Matesh Rao. Thank you very much for your all your knowledge just sharing towards us. It's actually very enlightening about knowing that palm oil waste is one of the main considering ways has been a recent concern to us to reduce, so that we need to overcome this problem. So next, I would like to invite the next speaker, which is Hamza Raad, the analytical and technical specialist for this today's session. Welcome, Hamza.
Thank you, Nizar. Good evening. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can
we do,
hear you.
Hamza.
Thank you. So as Mathish said, agro-waste can actually could damage the environment and the natural resources of a country. So as you look on this slide, there's 5 types of harm that agro-waste can bring. The first harm is pathogen contamination. This pathogen contamination basically mainly comes from the animal manure because usually contains bacteria or microbes. An example of pathogen contamination is the rivers and lakes that have been contaminated due to disposal of animal manure in the rivers and lakes. The second type of harm that caused by agro-waste is the underground water pollution. Rotten crops, also animal manure, could cause this type of pollution. And this is a bit of a problem, especially in some countries where they depend on underground water sources. Some of them have been polluted due to the disposal of such agro-waste. The third type of harm we have is air pollution. As Matthew has said, some agro-waste does cause air pollution. The main sources, or what causes the air pollution is animal manure and rotten food, because the bacteria and the microbes in the rotten food, or basically the agro-waste, will respire either aerobically or anaerobically, producing greenhouse gases such as methane or carbon dioxide. Fourth type of harm is the rising landfill. As you know, agro-waste is being disposed. For example, in case of Malaysia, 1.2 million tons of agro-waste is being disposed annually, and is going to increase year by year. This is a bit of a problem for Malaysia because population density is high in Malaysia and the land is limited, which is a bit of a problem. Obviously, as you can see recently, the rent prices has increased in Malaysia. The final type of harm that agro-waste can bring is the high risk of new diseases. As if you have went to any landfill site, you obviously can see that it's not clean and there's a lot of bacteria and microbes living in the landfill. For example, agro-waste, an example of them, as Mathish has said, is that they have rotten food. The problem is bacteria can survive on rotten food, and they will grow and undergo reproduction and evolve into new types of bacteria, which can bring new diseases, which is a problem, which causes new infection. So next slide, please. Okay, so as you all know, currently we are in the COVID-19 pandemic. Actually, the COVID-19 pandemic caused a huge problem for the agro-waste. It actually has increased the agro-waste disposed annually for every country. As you can see on the left side picture, bottom left side, a lot of food, vegetables, and fruits has been disposed of because during the MCO, which is the Movement Control Order, the wholesalers couldn't sell their produce. As you can see on the right paragraph, 15% of the total waste during the pandemic alone was only agro-waste. Thank you. I'll pass it back to Nizar.
Thank you, Hamza, very much for your speech. That's actually a really good one to know what are the harms that caused by this agro waste itself. And also, that's a good concern for us to know that COVID-19 actually has impact on the wastage itself. So, fellow participants, if you have any question, do do write it down in the chat box, or you can ask in later in Q&A session. So, moving on to our next speaker, which is Jujian, our waste specialist, which is oil palm waste specialist. going to give the speech right now. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ju.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. So next, I'm going to present on the oil palm industry and its waste. Today, 4.49 million hectares of land in Malaysia is under oil palm cultivation, and it produces 17.73 million tons of palm oil and 2.13 tons of palm kernel oil. So do you know what is the difference between the palm oil and then palm kernel oil? Does everyone know the difference between palm oil and palm kernel oil?
I'm not sure about it, Jill.
Okay. Yes, Leah. Okay. So I will explain about it. Okay. Palm oil comes from the palm fruit, while palm kernel oil is extracted from the palm seed. And then Malaysia is one of the largest producer and exporters of palm oil in the world, accounting for 11% of the world's oil and fats production and 27% of export trade of oils and fats. Studies shows that the oil palm industry provides employment to more than 500,000 people and livelihood to an estimated 1 million people in Malaysia. So the oil palm industry is one of the main source of income of Malaysia. And an oil palm tree can produce 10% of oil and 90% of biomass, which is the oil palm waste. Since we have 90% of the oil palm waste, so we cannot just extract the oil and throw away the waste, right? So there are some research have been done to find ways to fully utilize the oil palm waste. Next slide. Okay, these are the components of the oil palm waste. First one, the empty fruit branch, and then the palm fronds, which is the leaf, the tree trunks, the mesocarp fibers, is the biomass residue obtained after pressing the palm fruit for the palm oil extraction. And then the palm oil meal effluent, POME, is the wastewater derived from processing of the palm fruit. Next slide. Okay, I'm going to present on the utilization of oil palm waste now. So generally, oil palm mills generate a number of oil palm waste. This I have mentioned in the previous slide, right? Which an oil palm tree can generate 90% of the oil palm waste. So the oil palm waste contribute about RM 6,379 million of energy annually, but we still can do something to optimize the utilization of the oil palm waste for the cogeneration in Malaysia. And then the use of biomass as a source of energy is one of the most promising ways of effectively using the residue, which means that we can use the oil palm residue to generate the energy. Next slide. So these are the examples of the commercial project and research activities which have been done to fully utilize the waste or to prevent the environmental pollution. First, the treatment of the palm oil meal effluent, the POME. The wastewater of the POME contains so many harmful substances and is not suitable to be directly discharged to the river because it can cause harm to the aquatic life. So the effluent need to be undergo some treatment before it is discharged to prevent environmental pollution. And then the second one is the pyrolysis of the palm shell. And then this pyrolysis of oil palm shell can produce the bio oil. And then third, the produced biochar from oil palm waste. The biochar can be produced by pyrolysis also, which is the thermal decomposition. And then the biochar can improve the soil fertility because it is able to retain the nutrient for a long period of time. And then the fourth, solid biofuel from biowaste. And then fifth, the palm oil effluent as a source of bioenergy. The POME, the palm oil meal effluent, has a high organic carbon content, so it can be used to generate the biogas. And then the last example, the ethanol fermentation from the oil palm trunk. So that's all from me. I will pass back the presentation to Iza.
Thank you, Ju. Thank you very much for the information just now shared to us. And let's move on to our next part, which is our final presenter, Hui Ling, our experimental specialist for this today's session. The process that we're choosing for our waste management system is actually pyrolysis. So without further ado, I shall pass this floor to Hui Ling. Here we go, Hui Ling.
Hi guys, I'm Hui Ling. So I will present on the pyrolysis of oil palm waste to biochar. One of the best ways to reduce the oil palm waste problem is by converting the oil palm waste to biochar through the process of pyrolysis. The pyrolysis process is conducted by heating the oil palm waste to very high temperature in the absence of oxygen, producing the biochar along with syngas and bio-oils. Before we move to the next slide, let's watch a video on the pyrolysis process.
Biochar kilns are a fast, efficient and clean way to transform your surplus biomass into a valuable resource that will capture carbon, improve soils and increase crop yields. Biochar is a form of charcoal used to lock carbon into the soil. It's a very stable substance that is not broken down in soils, offering you and the planet long-term benefits. This particular kiln configuration consists of 2 kiln chambers and an external combustor, which can yield up to 800 kilograms of biochar per day. It's built into a 20-foot container so that it can be easily transported by lorry to your processing site. The kiln operates a batch process, using the excess heat generated in one chamber to dry feedstock in the opposite chamber. The biochar produced has a high carbon content and is essential for healthy soils and plants. 1 ton of biochar put into the ground is roughly equivalent to nearly 3 tons of carbon dioxide removed from the atmosphere. The unique thing about these kilns is that they can process feedstocks even if they're wet. In fact, you can use biomass that holds up to 60% moisture content. The dual body kiln both dries and chars feedstock, harvesting the heat it makes in the process. To start a cycle, the combustor is lit. Fuel, in this case wood pellets, is automatically fed into the combustor. The heat is channeled from the combustor into the charring chamber on one side, and a process called pyrolysis begins. When charring occurs, the biomass is baked in a low oxygen environment rather than burnt. The lack of oxygen means the biomass does not combust. Instead, it enters a state of pyrolysis, locking its carbon content in and exuding flammable gases such as hydrogen and methane that can be burned for heat. This syngas is fed into the combustor as the replacement energy source, and the wood pellet fuel is reduced. Once the charring chamber reaches optimum temperature, excess heat is channeled into the drying chamber to dry the next batch of feedstock, and steam is released. Unlike traditional systems, Carbon Gold's kilns run a relatively low temperature burn of around 500 degrees centigrade. This produces biochar that is better suited as a soil amendment than charcoal produced at higher temperatures. The total processing time can vary. A typical burn with 20% moisture wood chip takes around 8 hours. The charred feedstock is left to cool overnight before it can be emptied. Many different types of biomass can be used as feedstock for this pyrolysis kiln, from rush to rice husks to wood shavings, twigs and branches. Larger feedstock char is ground down to a smaller particle size to maximize its benefits as a soil amendment. Carbon Gold's kilns provide a flexible and efficient way to transform your surplus biomass into biochar, whilst harvesting the heat from the process. To find out how we can develop a kiln to suit your systems, visit www.carbongold.com.
So next, did you guys know that we can actually carry out the pyrolysis of biochar at our home? During this mixed semester break, we have carried out a pyrolysis experiment at our home. Let's see how we did.
Sorry for interruption. There's a technical issue going on. Please be awake. Thank you.
The material needed is dry leaf and branches. The apparatus that need to be prepared are metal wire mesh bin and a gas lighter. The dry leaf and branches were collected and dried under sunlight to keep the moisture content below 30%. A low moisture content would prevent large amount of smoke from being produced. After drying, the leaf and branches were put into a metal wire mesh bin and burned. Liquid fuel such as kerosene was used to start the fire and let the dry material to burn vigorously. If the amount of materials is enough and the moisture content is low, the temperature can burn up to 300 to 600 degrees Celsius. Pyrolysis occurs. As the material burns, they release little to no contaminating fumes. During the pyrolysis process, the organic material is converted into a carbon-rich solid residue, which is biochar, a stable form of carbon that can easily escape into the atmosphere. Water was used to put out the fire and cool the biochar. After that, the residue product was left under the sunlight for drying. The dry product form is called biochar and can then be collected for use.
So next, I will present on the biochar and its uses. So first, biochar can be used as the soil armament. Biochar have proven to be an excellent way of introducing and retaining nutrients in the soil, sequestrating atmospheric carbon to it and improving its microbial activity. Those effects could result in a reduction of greenhouse gases emissions associated with the extensive use of fertilizer and in the improvements of the general soil quality that lead to an increase of the crop yields. Next, biochar can be used as a manure or sludge additive. Biochar with high porosity and large surface area can be an excellent absorber, retaining valuable elements, example nitrogen, carbon, and sulfur, that typically would be lost to the environment as unwanted pollutants, as well as other microelements in a composing mixture. High surface area also provide more spacious and aerated habitat for microorganisms, which help in promoting the microbial activity. Biochar amendment to the animal manure or other types of waste subject to composting has a positive effect on the composting process, and the positive effects are similar to the one in the soil in terms of reductions of the greenhouse gas emission. Next, biochar can be used as a feed additive for farm animals, so it can help to improve digestion, help to fight diseases, and promote weight gain. Next, biochar can buffer the effects of can buffer the effect of toxic elements. So biochar can reduce the toxic effect of heavy metals in soil and in some plants grown in those soil. In one study, copper, manganese, mercury, lead, cadmium, chromium, and zinc, as well as arsenic compound, are become less bioavailable in green beans when the beans were grown in biochar amended soil compared to those grown in soil not amended with biochar. We have known for years that soil rich in organic matter can reduce the uptake of toxins into garden crops. Biochar adds another levels of protections for gardeners who may not know they have toxic heavy metals in their soil. That's all from me. So I will pass back the presentations to Niza.
Thank you very much, Huiling, for your wonderful knowledge and expertise sharing on the experimental of using pyrolysis in our housing and also the pyrolysis method itself. So without further ado, we should move on to our next session, which is one of the interesting session for today. It's actually Let's Play a Kahoot session that I would like to invite all our participants to join this Kahoot session. So I would like to call my co-partner tonight, Rob, to join this session, please. Rob, are you there?
Yeah, hello Nizar.
Hi, Rob. So can you just tell us how to play this Kahoot session?
Okay, firstly, this Kahoot session will have a series of questions, a numbers of questions, and each number of questions will have a limited time to be answered. The participant which answers at the shortest period of time will get the highest mark. The mark increases as the time goes by. So by this converting, there'll be ranking at the end of this game. Hope it'll be fun, and then it'll be more interesting for this session.
Oh, thank you, Rob. Thank you very much for your explanation. So basically, this Kahoot session is one of our survey to check on how our presentation have get impact on fellow participants. So as you can see, there's a game pin on the slide. So you can join the slide. You can use the game pin to join the game. And for a while, we can wait to everyone join the game and we can start this game. Is it okay, Rob?
Yeah, okay, I would like to add on. For those who couldn't or has faced a technical issue in downloading the app, still can use the webpage Kahoot.8. You can enter in this pin and then join our game.
Let's see. So we have Dr. Duck, Space Cat. Oh, that's interesting names right there. Wow. Rocky Echidna.
No. Brave Turtle.
Brave Turtle. Really brave enough.
Majestic Eagle. Wow, nice. We have an animal
wow.
kingdom here.
Yeah, I think so. There's an arcade make card. Wow.
Nibble Horse.
So do join this Kahoot session as it will help us on our survey on this today's session. I'm very impressed on this creativity of our fellow participant today because the names are so much fun and also interesting. So we have a royal slot in there.
Magic Deer.
There's a question for our fellow participant. Is there any prizes? Since this is actually a survey for us, actually we don't have any prizes for this session, but this will help us to enlighten you guys on what we guys have learned today and also help in our survey.
Purple Dog. Wow. Alerted Lion. Magic Fox. Wow. We have a koala and urchin from Sea Kingdom and also the forest. Wow, nice. Nizal, I think we better explain more detail about what we're going to ask in this quiz as we are waiting for participants to join.
Oh, sure. So actually the questions are really simple as ABC, as you guys know. So basically the questions are from exactly what you guys seen before in the slides. That's all only the questions. It's not going to be very hard. It's not going to be very technical, just simple questions to answer. So I believe everyone can answer this questions in within minutes only. No need to take hours to answer that thing.
Yeah, and one more before I forget. So totally how the questions will appear and how do you answer the question? It's very simple. The question will appear on the screen of the presenter, and then there will be choices. While you can choose the choice in your mobiles or the web that you have joined, and you can click on submit, and then your answer will be submitted in this Kahoot session.
And we shall start our Kahoot session in another 2 more minutes. So anyone is still there, please join the Kahoot session. So Rob, what do you
Yeah.
think about pyrolysis process itself for today's explanation by our experts?
Okay, from my point of view, that experts have explained, I think it's an and it should be encouraged in our people nowadays as it's an easy method which can be conducted in house also, as what Ms. Huiling has presented. So I think not only for the industrial, households also should implement that.
That's good answer from you, Rob. Thank you very much. So is it okay? We should start now our Kahoot session.
Okay, let's just give 30 seconds for people to join. So
Okay,
guys, don't be
guys, come.
shy. You can still use any names.
Oh, it's already started. Okay,
Okay,
let's
sorry,
go.
sorry, started. Let's go. So first is true or false. So the time will be ticking. Answer it as quick as possible.
So, okay, we got answers there. So agro waste is defined as waste which is produced from various agriculture activities and produced through farm. Is it true or false?
Tick.
Time is ticking. 15 seconds. 10 seconds.
26 of them answered. 27. I think everyone has answered. So let's see who goes on the top of the list. Okay, that's all.
So most of them answered correctly. So Brave Turtle is on the top of the list.
Followed
So
by
moving
Charming
on to-
Camel. Elated yet. Oh, sorry, couldn't read the name.
So next question.
Okay, the next question will be, which of these are considered as a type of agro waste? The choices are animal waste, crop waste, hazardous and toxic waste, food processing waste, and plastic waste. The time is ticking.
15 seconds.
6, 14, 13, 11,
10,
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's all. Let's see. Okay, not bad. Everyone, most of them answered correctly.
So Charming Camel is on the top of the list today. Okay, let's
Yeah.
say he can sustain in the end of the session.
Others,
So
don't
moving
give
on to
up.
next-
Still have a lot of questions. Still can redeem yourself to the number 1.
Okay, next question. What is the classification of this waste? Ooh. A sugarcane bagasse is actually a function of biomass resulting from the cleaning and preparation and extraction of sugarcane juice. What type of waste is this? Crop waste, solid waste, food process waste, or toxic waste? What do you think, Rob?
Oh, I cannot answer. Then people might still not answer, right?
Okay, 5 seconds more.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, let's see. Oh, it's okay. Still a decent number of people has answered it correctly. Thank you. So moving on to next question.
Okay, the next question will be, what will happen if agro waste is not properly discarded? It will be underground water pollution, rising landfill, air pollution, and all of them. This is a tricky one.
Oh my god. Should be all of them. Oh,
What do you think about this, Nizar?
I think I would just choose all the colors. It is easier for me.
That's a safe answer. Let's see whether it's right or wrong.
Okay, time's up.
Yes, wow, Nizar, you're right. Smart, Nizar. You.
So Charming Camel still on the top board. So next question. So during this pandemic, most farmers keep all the unsold production, fresh fruits and vegetables in their storehouse. Is it true or false?
If y'all would have paid attention during Mr. Hamza was presenting, it would have been easy to answer.
Oops. That's right. Oh, Rockstar
Oh.
Gator is on the top of the list now. Charming
Go
Cameron, don't
Gator.
worry, you can see can come up. Malaysia is
Okay,
one of the largest producers and exporters of palm oil in the world. Is it true or false? This should be easy answer, I guess. Everyone can answer easily and fast.
Yeah, I
Is it wrong?
think it doesn't need 30 seconds, 5 seconds or 2 seconds enough.
Oh, see? Yeah, all of them
Wow,
right.
all correct. That's a good one. And Rockstar Gator still paint on number 1. So next question, how much percentage of an oil palm tree is being disposed as waste? So what do you guys think?
Oh, okay.
Statistical question.
Okay. Let's see who got the right answer. Oh, only 5 guys. Okay, it's a good try. It's okay. We still have a lot of questions back there. We have another 5 more questions to answer. Oh, there's a brave turtle come
Oh,
up there.
Brave Turtle at a lightning speed. Go Brave Turtle. Slow and steady win the race.
Ooh. Next question. Oil palm waste that can be used as a source of energy includes palm fronds and empty fruit branches EFB. Is it true or false?
Well, the participants are very fast.
Yeah, because they really focus on our presentation today. So there will be no problem. Okay, Rockstar Gator still on the lead. Interesting.
Jolly
next.
Impala. That's a nice name. Are tree trunks of an oil palm tree useful for pyrolysis? Yes, no. No, just throw away them. No, there's other usage for it. No, take it and use it to make your own chair at home.
Making my own chair. I don't think so. I
don't
make
make
my own chair actually.
Do you make your chair?
I don't think so actually. Aha, there's a majority of them get the right answer. Okay, good.
21 got right. And still Rockstar Gator is on top of the list.
Okay, second last question. The end products of biomass pyrolysis process consists of biochar, bio-oil, and gases. This should be easy, I guess. True or false?
Yeah. Let's see. What is the percentage of the true or false answers we're gonna get? 27, 28, 29 of them already answered, 30 answered.
That's good,
28 got
that's
correct.
good. So that's our final question right here, right now.
This is the hardest question, I think. What do you think about this, Nisa?
I'm not
Let's
sure.
be biased and give an answer. Should we?
How was the webinar?
Rate us.
Yes.
Wow.
It should be fast.
Very fast. Let's see. I'm going green this time.
Of course. So 8 seconds more. Thank you very much for everybody voting for highest number of 5 stars there.
Thank you, fellow participants.
Please, let's see who got third.
Yeah, let's
Jolly
see the voting.
Impala.
Okay, Jolly Impala on third.
Congratulations on your
Second,
third placing.
Brave
And the
Turtle
first
at number
is
1. Ram roll.
Rockstar Gator. Congratulations for the top of the list. That means you.
Okay, now that's all from me. I hope it's fun and interesting, and it also enhances a teeny bit of your understanding about a webinar session. Pass it back to the moderator, Nizar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rob, for participating in the Kahoot session right now. So next slide, please. So now we are here at the conclusion. So overall for today's session that we shared by our speakers, that we can conclude that agro waste is actually a serious problem that we need to consider in order to avoid a lot of harms that can cause us some diseases, some environmental problems, and also some health issues. And secondly, one of the Malaysia's biggest problem is agriculture waste, on which is a oil palm waste, because we are the second largest community that produces oil palm waste around the world. And third is one of the beneficial way we can utilize the waste is actually by using a pyrolysis system, which is actually an engineering approach on how we can utilize the waste. But we can use that method itself at home with using simple steps that we provided by our friends and the speakers just now on how to use that. And that's all from us for conclusion. So moving on to next slide is actually Q&A session. For those have questions, can post on the chat and also can ask directly to our speakers tonight. So let's moving to the question session. Do anyone have a question?
Okay, I have a question here. I'm Li Yang.
Okay.
For the Hui Ling's presentation just now, for the home experiment thing, I'm sure that there's something called open burning over there. And is this illegal? And is this appropriate? I mean that they will cause air pollution, right? Why do you want us to do that?
That's a good question for our speakers. So is there any speakers would like to answer this question for Liang?
Yes, I would like to answer Liang's question.
Okay, thank you, Matish.
So, Liang, a very good question, basically from Liang for the first time, I guess. I know. Okay.
For the first
Okay,
time.
Liang. No. I will ask a very good question. Okay, so Liang, it's true actually. From as we know, if we did open burning means the releasing of carbon dioxide. So it's really true. But in this pyrolysis process, we are burning it in absence of oxygen. And another thing is what we have to be specific is this biochar process is basically carbon neutral process, where because the feedstock of the pyrolysis, the biochar is a plant based, means that, for example, an oil palm, right? So the oil palm will be like absorbing the CO2, the carbon dioxide, they're releasing from the pyrolysis method. So it's something like an offset lah. So it's really a cycle. It means like from here, the pyrolysis method, and then the biochar producing, it will release the carbon dioxide, and then it will be like absorbed back by the palm oil trees lah, basically. So it's a cycle. So we will call it as a carbon neutral. So there will be no no air pollution like compared to like open burning, that they will be like burning the plastics and everything. Yeah, because it will produce a harmful gases to the environment. Yeah, that's it. I hope answer your question.
Thank you, Matish, for the wonderful answer that explains about the carbon neutral thing. So next we have a question from the chat, from the floor, which is, hi, I have a question. What is the composition of biochar produced from palm oil biomass? So speakers, do you have any answers for this?
I think I can answer for that. So the biochar produced from a pyrolysis of palm oil waste will contain 38% of biochar. The biochar produced is clean enough and then can be applicable in a lot of scenarios. Because it also has a high chemical resistance, so although it's 38%, the biochar produced is still useful enough, it's clean, and it's a high chemical resistance that can be applied for fertilization of soil or any other application that you wish to do. But the amount is 38%, 38 weightage percent.
So thank you very much, Fares, our technical support there, for answer this question. And I hope so it is clear for Muhammad Faiz for that answer that given by our field friends. And next we have a question from Subhashini. I have a question on pyrolysis process. Many I know if pyrolysis applicable for any other agro waste other than palm oil waste. If yes, then can you provide few examples? Thank you in advance. So speakers, do you have answers for that?
Yes, I would like to answer this question. First of all, thank you, Subha, for your question. And then I think pyrolysis is applicable for other agro waste, such as the rice husks, the coconut husks, and then the tipper. And then all these agro waste can easily be found in Malaysia.
So thank you very much, Jushin, for the answer. And there's another question from the floor also from Nur Aina Shafika Wakari. Hi, regarding the pyrolysis process, what is the temperature range for the process? Is there any speakers would like to explain about that?
Yeah, I would like to answer. Basically, we need very, very high temperature where we need more than 400 degrees C. So usually it will be like 450 to 500. It's something like if you know there's a furnace temperature, right? So it will be like operating in very high temperature. So pyrolysis also need like that high temperature in that range, basically. Yeah.
So, okay, thank you very much for adding up what just Matesh said just now. It's now in the video of a pyrolysis process at home. It has mentioned that the temperature rose up around 300 to 600 degrees Celsius. And it also depends on our fuel that we are using in order to burn up the material. So it depends, varies on based on the material itself also. So any more questions from the floor to our panels? Yes.
Hi, very good evening. Thank you for the interesting talk. My name is Rafi Fadila. So my question is, other than using a furnace or a metal bin as shown in the video, is there any alternative method to make our own biochar at home? Thank you.
Thank you, Dila, for the questions. For the panels, do you have any answers for that?
Hi, I would like to answer the questions. Okay, thank you, Dila, for your questions. I believe that all of you will not have the furnace tongue or the mesh bin in your house. So other than the furnace tongue, you can use, actually you can dig hole in your backyard or your gardens to do the pyrolysis process. So this is another alternative for you to replace the furnace to do the pyrolysis process. That's all from me.
Thank you, Hui Ling, for the answer. Yes, please.
I have another question for Matesh just now. Can I just
Yes,
ask
please,
one more
Leah.
question towards
Sure,
Matesh?
sure.
Sure,
Sure.
all right. Regarding the issue that you have stated just now, that we can burn the agro waste, as the plant will manage to absorb back the carbon dioxide gas that produced by the pyrolysis process, right? Then I figure out something, like for example, if someone burn something in their backyard, mostly it's like the cut grass. They cut the grass after they have mown the grass, and then the leftover grass they will burn it away. Then is this how to say, will this cause air pollution? Because I think that the haze, there's a huge amount of black gases coming out from the pyrolysis process.
All right. Thank you, Leah. Basically, if you already mentioned that it's from, if like we burn the grass and then the plants, if you see, means all these are plant based. If we burn the plant based, it will produce the carbon dioxide, but at the same time it will be like absorbed. So it will be like producing in a small amount compared to like you're burning a very like like the plastic and other things to like the wood, right? In our house we didn't use the carbon means, the wood carbon means we'll be burning it right and outside. It will cause the air pollution. Basically it is actually very huge, because the pyrolysis method in our home-based experiment, we are using like a small amount, not a very huge amount in industrial scale. So the producing the CO2 will be very less, and then it can be absorbed by the plants over in the surrounding. So what you should do is, if you're going to do the pyrolysis process, means before that go and plant the many plants surround the your backyard and everything, so it will absorb the carbon dioxide. So one of
Meaning that we have to plant some plants beside the beside our furnace or the hot thing, right?
So indirectly you're going green lah. Yeah.
So Matesh, I would like to add a bit more from explanation. So right now we are burning a plant. So that plant itself, before it turn to biochar, is already consume some carbon and then take carbon from the atmosphere. So when it burn, it give the same amount of carbon. It's considered to be carbon neutral, because the carbon you absorb and the carbon you release when you get burned is similar. So technically you're not producing any more carbon necessarily. If you burn something, for example, a coal, if you burn it, it will produce carbon. So the carbon is add on. It's not from removed from somewhere else to become the coal and then to release the atmosphere. So it's something that add to the air pollution. But for plants, like for pyrolysis process, the palm oil itself during lifetime already absorb a lot of carbon, and then to a lot of carbon, and when we burn it, we release a smaller amount of carbon. So technically, it's carbon neutral.
Okay, from your context, right? Okay, from your context, is it possible for us to do it at home? Will it be legal for us to do? When police come by, will we be caught or what?
Yes, that's a fair concern. It would be highly likely that you shouldn't do this sort of upper burning in public. But actually, if you do in your backyard and then you cover it small enough, and then if you use dry enough tree or leaves, there won't be that much like black gas. It will be just some small little small. Like, it won't be that affecting. But try not to burn a lot. If you burn a little, it won't be that affected, and you won't get caught anything. So if possible, try to control it and try to do research beforehand how to do it properly so that you can avoid any fumes or smoke from releasing and disturbing your neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. Very nice.
Thank you, Li Yang and Faires, for the answers that our from our participants. So there's another question from Nur Aina Shafika Wakari. Is it any pre-treatment before pyrolysis process to reduce the moisture content of biomass? So panels, is there any answers?
For us, so I'm going to answer Niza. So for us, right, for our home experiment, we just dry it in the sunlight for about 1 day, so it would reduce the moisture content. In the industrial process, they use some kind of dryer to dry out the moisture before they undergo the process. So yeah, we need some pre-treatment in form of drying.
Okay, thank you, Faires, for the answer. So is there any more questions from the floor? If there is, okay, thank you very much, Aina, for the response. So if there is no more questions from the floor, so okay, there's another one more. So what is the effect of the size? What is the effect on the size of the particle on palm oil waste for production of biochar or bio oil through batch pyrolysis process? So panels, do you have anything answer to for
once
this?
again, is it okay if I answer, Niza?
Yes, sure, please.
Okay, so for the size of particle, the smaller, if you chop it out or make it small, or if you chip it out, make it very, very small, then it will take less time for it to turn to biochar. If, for example, if from the video, if you throw a big branches into it, it will take much longer time to form biochar. So the size of particle will reduce the time necessary for it to turn from oil palm waste to biochar. So it will reduce the time. And also will increase the purity as well.
Thank you, Faires, for the answer. So yes, the smaller, the better. Yes, that's the answer, Nirvan. Thank you for the question. So I think so that's all for our session today. So thank you very much for participating in today's our webinar session. Before you guys leave the session, next slide, Faires, please. We do have a blog session, a blog site for us for your further informations. You can scan the QR code there and also can get information regarding our study of pyrolysis there and also do support our blog there. Thank you very much for your time for our webinar session. That's all from us. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, people.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Rob, can you post the link for the blog inside the chat?